somebody called Volcano Jess Phoenix. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the volcano.
Hello, everyone. I just want to clarify that even though in the program it says my name is Volcano Jess Phoenix, that is not my actual first name, but my middle name is in fact Danger. No, that's also not true. But you would think so because I spend a good portion of my life places that look like that. Now, does anybody just, I like to make things a little interactive. So does anybody here happen to know where that is? Anyone want to take a guess? You can shout it out. No? Hawaii. It's Hawaii. It is specifically Pu'u'o'o, which is a parasitic cinder cone on the flank of Kilauea volcano, which for a long time has been the world's most active volcano, but that title changes constantly, as one would expect. The little silver dots on the side there, those are each about 2 meters, 6 feet high, to give you a sense of scale. So I took this when I was in a helicopter, obviously. All right. So, who am I? I'm going to answer that question visually. I do research on land. I do research underwater, not usually with turtles, but it was a nice picture. And by air. I haven't made it to space volcanoes yet. But I will also let other folks give you a little bit of a sense of who I am and sort of the breadth of what I do.
I'm Jess Phoenix, and you're watching Scenic Science.
Geologist, scientist, and really smart person, Jess Phoenix.
Jess Phoenix.
Jess Phoenix visited the site.
This is amazing! Jess Phoenix is a volcano expert.
People who have the means need to lead by example.
Diversity is a strength. We have to innovate, and the way that we innovate is by using science. That is how we are going to solve these problems.
It's not just old white guys in lab coats.
All right, I didn't want to give you too much of the music. It gets very intense there. But basically, I have been fortunate enough to not only do science in some of the most incredible places around the world. I research volcanic hazards specifically, also climate change, and sometimes extremophiles, just depending on what scientists I'm working with and where I'm working. So everywhere from deserts to frozen tundras and whatever's in between. Does anyone know where this is? Hawaii, yeah. I keep showing you Hawaii because it is my first love with volcanoes, and because this volcano here does not fit the stereotype of a volcano. This is Mauna Loa, which in Hawaiian means long mountain. I can't even fit it all in that photo. It doesn't fit in a 16:9 photo. It is so big, so vast. It makes up 51% of the island of Hawaii, and from the base on the seafloor to the summit, it is taller than Mount Everest. So you can see why the local peoples believed that it was sacred and that volcanoes were the homes to gods. Now, I am very much also into poetry. Anyone here who is an English poetry fan will notice I have poetry on my arms. Only through time is conquered, which is a good quote for a geologist, right? So I want to start with just a thought here while you look at Mauna Loa. It's one of my favorite quotes, and it is, "To see a world in a grain of sand and a heaven in a wild flower, hold infinity in the palm of your hand and eternity in an hour." Now, why am I talking to you about holding infinity in the palm of your hand? Well, because this very powerful scientific tool, the rock hammer, actually allows us to look into time itself. So if you want to take rocks, pass them down. Everyone can't have one, I'm so sorry. I wish I could give one to everyone. But the folks who are lucky enough to get a piece of rock from this island, and yes, I did just take them and use the hammer to break them in front of the building before I came in. This is a window into eternity, okay? It's a book, the greatest story ever written. It's a time machine. It holds every single piece of knowledge that we can have about our planet, at least the parts that aren't alive. And weirdly enough, this contains bits of you and I, because we share the same molecules that existed when the Big Bang happened, that then formed, unicorns, haha, not unicorns, BMWs and house cats and this rock and you and you. So we need to, in the work that we do, honor these rocks, honor the stories they tell, and use them to unlock the secrets of the universe. So here's an up-close view for those of you who don't get a rock, which is most of you. I'm so sorry. Would have been real heavy to bring everyone a piece of rock. But when you're on this island, go pick up your own rock and look at it. This one that I'm holding right now has tiny crystals of olivine. It's a ferromanganate mineral, green, just like olivine would imply. But this piece right here on the screen, this is one of my favorite images to show kids. And that's because that is fresh lava. That is lava that has erupted within the last 2 weeks. And it is iridescent because it tells us something about what's happening inside the planet beneath our feet. It is a window into the inner workings of our world. And it shows us, as volcanologists, what might happen with the next eruption. Would it be more violent? Would we have a more explosive eruption? Would it be an oozier, pancake batter style eruption that is really only a threat to property, not so much to people? We like those. But on this island, you actually have the potential for explosive eruptions too. And no volcano is safe. So if anyone tries to tell you it's safe to go up and poke the lava, it is not. Do that with trained professionals. So this is an important example of why, when I'm telling these stories that are written in the rocks, that this is why it's important to get it right. Now, the audio doesn't matter on this one, so hopefully, oh, there it is. Does anyone know what this is? Anyone been there? Okay. This is on Kawah Ijen volcano on the island of Java in Indonesia. Does it look like blue lava? Yeah? Is that what it looks like? I'm not asking if it is, that's what it looks like, right? It's not. But if you look this up, if you look up Kawah Ijen volcano, or blue lava, this is what you see online, and it's wrong. That's not lava. Some of you are holding lava in your hands right now, and no, not all lava is hot. But it's up to us to break the myths. This is what lava looks like, right? I mean, we've seen this. That's me with my hammer sampling lava, as one does. It looks like the taffy from hell, is how I like to explain it. It's 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. When you go up to sample it, you literally feel your eyes dehydrating. And for the folks who like metric, that's about 1,100 Celsius. So an extremely intense experience. And all I have actually shielding my eyes are a pair of sunglasses and, and that balaclava and the heat-resistant gloves. But you actually go in for the last little bit of the sample blind. You can't see. It's too intense. You have to close your eyes. That's what lava looks like. So why does that blue stuff get called lava? Well, it's because we need people to explain the story. I mean, again, this is lava. It's not blue. Even at night, it wouldn't be blue, because what that was sulfur. For those of you who know chemistry, sulfur, when it's erupted, it's in a liquid form, and it makes contact with the atmosphere, combusts. So the combustion of sulfur from this volcano, it's putting out so much sulfur, so much acid gas, it actually burns blue, and people think it's lava. And that's a problem, because that is not an accurate depiction of what is going on with our planet. So one of the most important things that we, as scientists, as storytellers of the planet, and of our relationship with it, or even storytellers of space and the stars, we have to set the record straight, which means we can't do science in a vacuum. It cannot just be enough to learn what we learn, to go on our explorations, to enjoy them, to live, to get out there and see what there is to be seen. We have to communicate it properly. And that's because we're in uncharted territory right now, as a species, as a collective society. Explorers are used to uncharted territory, but this is different. This is different than ever before. We don't have 24-hour news cycles. You're lucky if you can get 24 seconds of someone's attention. So also, thank you all for sitting here so patiently. I know I'm not as entertaining as a TikTok video, but right now we also are dealing with the rise of opinion over expertise. When people can scream, and whoever screams loudest gets the most attention. Whatever sounds the scariest is what is going to get the news cycle and get it focused on that. The climate crisis is rapidly intensifying, and we are really needing to adjust how we do things. We're in a highly pressurized state right now. There's a volcano reference, right? We have conflicts all over the world. We have economic crises, but we also have opportunities. So this is a chance where people in this room, you, can make a tangible difference. So right now, we sit at the collision of cataclysm and catalyst. Catalysm and cataclysm. I see, I can't, too many C's. I tried to be alliterative and clever, and this is what happens. But again, we here, the explorers, the scientists, the creators, the interpreters, the storytellers, the record keepers, we know how to understand the secrets of the universe. We can look at the rocks, we can look at the bees, we can look at the microplastics, and we can look at what's going on in the oceans, the vastest, most unknown thing right near us. I mean, it's literally like a mile that way. So we are uniquely positioned here at this collision point, at this turning point, where we can't take the George Mallory approach anymore, I'm sad to say. We can't just climb things because they're there. That's not enough. It's not enough, because it's not about us. It's about the whole world, and it's about how we come together to solve these problems. If you believe the work that you are doing is important, then you must make sure that it is intentional and then it's intersectional. And what does that mean? That means that we don't exist in isolation. That means that before I go climb Old Donyo Lingai, the Maasai tribe's mountain of God in Tanzania, before I go do that to show people on the Science Channel how neat it is and how it's the only volcano on Earth that erupts white lava, nitrocarbonatite, I need to ask permission from the people who are there and who know that volcano intimately in ways that I can't, because I'm not from there. That's not my heritage, my history. So I have to not just say, oh, this mountain is very important to the Maasai. That does no good. I have to say, can we please have the Maasai elder on camera explaining why this volcano matters? Can I ask permission formally to use my skills in their place? And that is the kind of thing that we need to be showing. And you're going to hear that theme a lot. I've already heard it, that none of us are isolated. We can't do science or exploration as we always have done. And we've gained a lot from smartphones and instant communication all around the world, because we can see people who are vastly different from us. You can see kids, dancing to a coordinated video, in Kenya right now on your phone. You can see somebody swimming with whale sharks, on your phone. It's right there. So we need to use this gift, and that means that we need to make sure that the stories that get pushed up are the stories that matter. And I mean, storytelling is the buzzword right now. It's doing that for a reason. The reason everyone keeps saying storytelling, storytelling, storytelling is because that's how you connect across distance, across time, across background. So here's some storytelling. I am literally just hanging out above the third largest sinkhole on planet Earth. You can see how tall it is up there. And you can see down into the water from the top up there all the way to the bottom, 1,700 feet. So that is about 300 feet taller than the Empire State Building. I don't want to go in the water, but I really do like this view on rappel. Pretty great. Anyway, bye. So just a little casual, that's the kind of thing I send my mom because I want to make her have lots of gray hair. But that is the kind of storytelling we can't ignore, right? It's something quick, it's something casual, it's for social media. I was filming a Discovery Channel series there called Hunting Atlantis, but I took that moment when they were getting set up for a shot, because there's nothing like sitting around literally dangling above the world's third largest sinkhole waiting for the camera crew. But then I was doing cosmogenic nuclide sampling. I was hitting off chunks of rock with that same hammer that you saw me hold earlier, to take them back to the lab and analyze cosmic ray bombardment. So you can do these very complex scientific things and still show people wonder. And here's the thing. These are some students I work with through my nonprofit called Blueprint Earth, but all of them were born scientists, just like every single one of you was born a scientist. And in this room, I'd hazard to say you were also born explorers. But I say that because as humans, our very fundamental shared thing that we all do is we test hypotheses. From the very time when you can start crawling around and sticking things in your mouth, you're saying, does this taste good? What happens when I scream? Will mom and dad come and take care of me? That is us doing science. That's the process. We have it innate within us. And it's when we nurture it, when we open the doors to people, when we say, yes, we want you here. That is when we allow people to reach their highest potential. And it's through the breadth of our experience. It's through different backgrounds. It's through going to new places. It's through talking to as many people as possible. That's when we can actually save species, when we can solve problems like climate change, or when we want to try to sustain life beyond Earth. We need the breadth of our experience. Nobody can be left behind if we want the best possible results. So here's some other science communication, and you'll see different styles. But this is the kind of stuff.
Touching this because I can see that we've got some steel barrels there that are just eaten through. 0.26. That is extremely acidic water.
You're going to see things become more environmentally friendly because no one wants dirty water, dirty air, dirty soil, and we all want a clean place for our children to grow up.
We've got a series of terraces on the hillside. Those terraces were formed when the ocean used to be a lot higher than it is today. So where I'm standing would have been underwater.
Yellowstone area has erupted 3 times. Yeah. So about 2 million years ago, about 1.2 million years ago, and about 640,000 years ago. When you think about how much material would have had to have blown out to cause that whole area to drop down, to form the caldera, that is a ton of material.
That's wild.
Many, many tons. So terrible jokes, bad puns, always welcome in science, and Sammy knows what I'm talking about. And of quartz, any geologist here will know as well. But just communicate. Get the word out about what you do, what you love, why you do it. That is how we connect. And without the connection, we don't have anything. The connection is what makes it all worthwhile. So I clicked through these already. I don't know how. They're supposed to appear one at a time. But I've done traditional media via TV series. I work for the Union of Concerned Scientists, where I do the podcast and the YouTube channel. I've written a memoir. I ran for US Congress. It was a thing, but that was the best campaign poster of all time. I'm going to put a flag on that. And I take pictures and put them on social media, because you can reach so many different audiences. So consider that. You never know what kid you're going to inspire. You never know what grown-up you're going to change their point of view or show them something that they've never thought of before. You can change the world. You're here because you want to. If you didn't want to change something about this planet, about our experience on it, you wouldn't be here. I mean, let's just face it. This is not an easy place to get to, right? And if you live here, well, clearly you're curious. And if you live here, you got a really cool place to live. So tell these stories. Learn about storytelling. If you know people who want to get into science, one of the best things that you can do is encourage them to take a class on public speaking, on communicating, on writing, on filmmaking. But it's not enough to think that we can do this in isolation. It's not just James Cameron, or Victor Vescovo at the bottom of the ocean in their vehicle. No, there's a whole plethora of people out there who make it happen. So remember that and try to reach everyone. So now, this is my last slide, huh? Pretty good for an ending slide, right? Walking into the darkness. So I want you to do me a favor, and I know a lot of you are going to be like, I don't want to do this, but close your eyes just for a minute and just listen, because I know this takes some trust. But close your eyes and follow me into the darkness for just a moment. Old men ought to be explorers. Here or there does not matter. We must be still and still moving into another intensity, for a further union, a deeper communion. Through the dark cold and the empty desolation, the wave cry, the wind cry, the vast waters of the petrel and the porpoise. In my end is my beginning. That is by T.S. Eliot, the poet who wrote the quotes that are on my arms. And that, to me, right there, in my end is my beginning, that is the rock cycle. That's what volcanoes show us. We're in a constant cycle of creation and destruction on this planet, and it's up to all of us to figure out how the myriad stories and explorations that we do throughout our lives, how do we use that to make this place our home and protect it with everything we have? Thank you.